Thank you for participating today. We will now begin with questions for Coach Andy Enfield. Use the raise hand function to indicate you would like to ask a question. When you're called on for your question, please state your name and affiliation first. Our first question is from Adam Grosbard.
Adam Grosbard, Orange County Register. Andy, the team lost 4 of 8 games entering the NCAA tournament. Was there any value to that in terms of regaining some edge or avoiding complacency before going to Indianapolis?
No, I don't see an advantage. We don't like to lose any games. So every game on our schedule is challenging. You see how good the Pac-12 is. Every game we played in the Pac-12 was challenging, especially the road games. So we played an extremely tough schedule this year, and I think you've seen that of how well these Pac-12 teams have done. There were no easy games on our calendar this year, unfortunately.
What's the schedule been like this week? Have you guys been able to do any sort of team bonding activities with so much time in between games?
Yeah, it was great. The NCAA provided team buses to go to Topgolf, and all the teams were able to get outside yesterday. It was a beautiful day in Indianapolis. We've been in a hotel 16 straight days, so yesterday was really nice for our players and coaching staff just to go hit some golf balls, relax a little bit, have some food, and enjoy our own company. It was completely isolated, COVID-free, I should say, but it was a lot of fun just to get out of the hotel.
Our next question is from Ryan Young, Trojansports.com.
Hi, Andy. How have you discussed your own previous Sweet 16 experience with this team? Have you kind of brought up stories from that run you had before the Gulf Coast?
Yeah, before the tournament started, before our first game against Drake, we did show some video of the Florida Gulf Coast team, and the point was to win games in a tournament, you have to execute on offense, you have to have a pace to your game, and then you have to defend at a high level. And so we did show some highlights of that, as well as our USC teams had been in a tournament. And it was a new experience for all our players because only Chavez Goodwin had ever played in March Madness. In fact, none of our players had played in the Pac-12 tournament the week before because we had a completely new team this year. So it's great to see these guys, starting from the Drake game to the Kansas game, really came together and have played terrific basketball on both ends of the court.
And going through this experience and getting to this point, has it made you personally reflect on that previous experience?
Sure. Anytime March Madness comes around, I do get a lot of text messages and things sent to my email or phone regarding the Florida Gulf Coast run. Obviously, it's been 8 years ago, so it's but when you reminisce a little bit, it seems like it was just yesterday. What a great group of young men we had there. The players were just terrific. They performed at the highest level. And in fact, Brett Comer, our point guard, came to our Kansas game the other night. Got him tickets. He's at Dayton on their coaching staff with Coach Grant. So it was nice to get him to come see us play. And I also spoke with a few other the guys on that team, as well as some of the Florida State players I had. As an assistant coach for 5 years with Coach Hamilton, went to the NCAA tournament quite a few times and had a few of those players reach out. And in fact, Tony Douglas just called me from Italy yesterday, and a few other guys on the team reached out. So that's one of the great things about coaching. You develop relationships. You have friends for life, especially when your team's successful, and there's a common bond. Even if you haven't seen each other in many, many years, you still have that common bond of your success at March Madness.
Our next question is from Ryan Karch, LA Times.
Ryan Karchi, LA Times. Andy, I know Isaiah suggested after the last win that Oregon stole the Pac-12 championship. I know you had some frustrations with just how the schedule worked out in terms of rescheduling due to COVID. What are your feelings on how that just generally worked out this season with the Pac-12? And does that maybe add an extra layer of intensity to a game like this that already has plenty?
Well, the Pac-12 schedule, look, COVID took us in a lot of different directions this year, and it's nobody's fault that Oregon played 2 less league games than us, and that's just the way it worked out. We played 20 league games, and they played 18, and they deserved. They went 14-4. We were 15-5, and so the rules were that the percentage would decide it. And even though they didn't play their full schedule, they had a great season. We have a lot of respect for Oregon. They're a terrific basketball team. And they are as good as, to us, they're a top 10 team in the country. And so I don't think this game has any more significance because of the Pac-12 schedule. We think this is a terrific team we're playing, and we have to play our best to have a chance to win.
I know they've been a really good 3-point shooting team all season. You guys haven't necessarily been, but had a great game in this last round of 32. How important do you foresee the 3-point line just being in this matchup?
Well, the three-point line is extremely important. I think Oregon shoots it at a high level. At least they have been lately. You saw that against Iowa. They made a lot of threes. They were out in transition. They drove the ball at a high level as well. So they really spread the floor, especially when they play 5 forwards or guards at the same time and take their true centers out. But we have a different type team. We have great size and length inside and on our wings. So we'll try to use our strengths. I'm sure they will as well. But I think the three-point line will be important for both teams.
Our next question is from James Crapia, the Oregonian.
James Crabtree, the Oregonian. Andy, speaking of that, going back to your meeting with them last month, Will Richardson didn't even attempt the three, let alone make one. And he's certainly changed his game the last month, has a much better handle of things. Just as you review film of them, how different a team are they, mainly because of him, because he's now shooting 60% from three the last 6 games.
Well, Isaiah Mobley didn't attempt a three in that game either because he didn't play. So Isaiah's shooting the ball at a high level right now. He's playing terrific basketball, and so is Will Richardson. I think those two players have really improved throughout the season, and I think you've seen that in the NCAA tournament.
Our next question is from Lou Bezjak, the state newspaper.
Coach Enfield, Lou Bezjak from the state newspaper in Columbia, South Carolina. Just what have you seen from Chavez Goodwin this season, and what were your expectations of him coming in, a veteran guy? You guys added a lot of transfer guys, but what are your expectations of him, and how has he performed this season?
Chavez has exceeded our expectations. He's had an outstanding season. He's such a leader by example. He's the one guy on our team that no matter how tired you are or what they've done in a classroom or we've traveled, he shows up for every practice and plays like it's the championship game, and he gives great effort. You see his motor during the game, and he just plays so hard. And he's just a wonderful person. We could not be more excited for him. He's been such a big part of our team to have that energy off our bench all season with his size and athleticism and his strength. He's helped us win a lot of games this year.
Next question is from Brady McCullough.
Hey, Andy, Brady McCullough from the LA Times. Recently another league started up, this overtime elite, I believe it's called, that's going to supposedly offer, 16 to 18-year-olds $100,000 a year, to basically give up their amateur status and play ball, for a league. And there's been some other, the G League Ignite, things like that. When you hear, about those leagues and those things starting up, how do you think that's going to affect college basketball, the talent pool, and the way you recruit going forward?
It won't change our recruiting. However, that's a personal decision for their families and the young men coming out of high school if they choose not to go to college. But I think if, getting a college education is extremely important long term in your career, in your life. And if you think you're only going to stay 1 year, you certainly wouldn't graduate, but at least you'd have the experience and mature in the college game. I think college basketball gets you ready to play in the NBA, even if you're one and done. Look what it's done for a few of our guys. Look at Evan Mobley. He's improved so much here, and now he's on the national stage. He's having the time of his life. He's in the Sweet 16. And these, no matter how much money you offer these players, first of all, college education is worth a lot of money, and you get all your food and housing paid for. So there's significant value just from a pure dollar figure. But to have this experience and have the chance to develop and be part of a team that means a lot, I think is an experience most of these players want. And I think that's why you see so few of these high-level recruits go that route. Now, who knows what will happen in the future, but it won't change our recruiting at all. We'll try to keep recruiting the kids that fit our program and want to come to USC.
Our next question is from Adam Sussman.
Adam Sussman, KWVA Sports. Coach, you guys played Oregon just over a month ago in LA, and how much stock, if any, are you putting into that game considering how much different the Ducks looked against Iowa?
Well, I think both teams, Oregon and USC, have improved since that game over a month ago, and that's what college basketball should be. The teams improve throughout the season, and Oregon certainly has done that, and so have we. So this will be a completely different game. It's on a much bigger stage, and I think both teams are playing good basketball right now. I said before, it's a little unfortunate that we play a league foe. It happens to be a league opponent. It happens to be Oregon, but to have two Pac-12 teams play in the Sweet 16 is unfortunate, but it's part of the process, so we understand that. But we have a lot of respect for Oregon. We've watched them improve as a team, and we know we have a very challenging game on Sunday.
Yeah, Coach, it's one thing, to kind of prepare for a zone or a certain set on defense, but can you briefly talk me through how you prepare for this Oregon team that has played with such speed the last couple of games?
As I said, they're a terrific basketball team. They have speed, they have shooting, they have ball handling. They're very good defensively, and that's why they're here. We've played them in our league many times over the last few years. This group of players has only played them once, and we have a couple of returnees, 3 returnees that played them last year. So it'll be a whole different ball game, as I said. We really can't take too much out of that first game that we played them over a month ago.
Our next question is from Paul Meyerberg, USA Today.
Andy, good afternoon. This is obviously a very unique tournament in the setup and the environment that you're playing in. But as you look back on your previous Sweet 16 appearance as a head coach, how do you compare the spotlight and pressure this year compared to the run you made in 2013? Is it dramatically different, the feeling of attention on you and on your program?
Well, I don't think anything can compare to the Florida Gulf Coast run because we're the first 15 seed to get to that level, the Sweet 16. And just the way that whole season unfolded was such a brand new basketball program, brand new school in Southwest Florida, and what that meant to the university as a whole to put the university and the basketball program on a national stage. And I think that was very special. It was very special what our players accomplished there. And so that was a totally different feeling. We've been to the NCAA tournament a few times here at USC as a coaching staff. Obviously, these players are new to us, but to reach this level once again is great. It means I have terrific assistant coaches, Jason Hart, Chris Capco, Eric Mobley, Curtis Schultz. They've been with me a long time. And we have great players. They've really come together, a brand new team. We only had 3 returnees to replace over 80% of our scoring and rebounding. This is a different feeling because we're just so impressed as a coaching staff what our players have done to have grad transfers, undergraduate transfers, 3 returning players, a couple freshmen come together and keep getting better and better as a team to reach this point. So it is a different feeling, but it's the same excitement level because we're in the Sweet 16 and have a chance to move on.
Our next question is from Lane Higgins.
Hey there, Coach. This is Lane Higgins from the Wall Street Journal. And I wanted to ask a question just on the stature of the Pac-12 conference and how well the conference has performed, the last week in Indianapolis. Why do you think it is that the conference kind of flew under the radar for most of the year?
Well, Lane, I'll try to give you, I grew up in Pennsylvania, so this is from personal experience. I grew up in a basketball family. My father was a 9th grade coach and a varsity coach in our school district. And I never watched the Pac-12, so I was around the game all the time. I watched the ACC and the Big East and some of the other leagues, but mostly the ACC and Big East. I never saw a USC basketball game or an Oregon game, for that matter, when I was growing up. And I think the big part of that is the time difference. I watched USC football because it was on Saturday afternoons. I loved the Cardinal and gold jerseys. They were my favorite jerseys. I wanted to be a football player because of the USC uniforms. But that was on Saturday afternoon. I was always in bed by 9 p.m. Shoot, I go to bed now by 9:30 or 10. So if I'm on the East Coast, I'm not even going to see the tip-off at a 7:30 game in Los Angeles. And so I think the time difference really limits our exposure on a national scale. And so to me, that's the biggest thing. And I think this Pac-12 tournament's been great to get for the nation just to be exposed to the Pac-12 teams. We've been saying for years that the Pac-12 has great players. We put 10 players in the NBA draft last season. We would have had 6 teams in the tournament last season. This year we have 5. And the level of competition, the level of talent is tremendous. And I coached in the ACC for 5 years for Coach Hamilton. at Florida State. I know what the ACC is all about. I was spent 5 years there. I also coached in the NBA for a couple different teams as an assistant coach. So the coaches that have been in different leagues in the Pac-12, and there's many now, we get together and we kind of just shake our head because it's like the Pac-12 doesn't exist sometimes just because people don't see our games enough and the exposure is limited. So so we are very happy. I guess I'll end this by saying we are very happy that the nation is seeing some success from the Pac-12, and congratulations to the other teams that have gone this far.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Coach, for your time today. We will be joined momentarily by Evan Mobley.
Thank you.
Please use this time to raise or lower your hand as necessary. We are now joined by Evan Mobley and will begin the press conference. Please use the raise hand function to indicate you would like to ask a question. When you're called on for your question, please state your name and affiliation first. Our first question is from Joe Reedy, AP.
Hey, Evan, just wondering your thoughts with 4 teams from the conference in the Sweet 16, but also with both LA teams making it this far, just how good it is to see that.
It's just amazing to see that 4 teams from the Pac-12 are in it, and 2 of them are LA teams. It just goes to show how good the Pac-12 really is, and how good the whole entire conference is.
Just with the roster full of California players for both USC and UCLA, does it also show like Southern California players, they can remain in the area and play high quality D1 basketball?
Yeah, definitely. You just got to find the right school, whether that be in the East Coast, West Coast, anywhere, and you can thrive anywhere that you go. You just got to put in the hard work.
Our next question is from Adam Grosbard.
Evan, just what's this week been like for you? Have you had any, former USC players or anyone else kind of out of the blue texting you in the wake of the team's success?
Occasionally, like there's comments here and there that I see and stuff, and a lot of some of the staff keep in contact with some of the old players, so we talk to them sometimes, and they're just excited for all that we've done so far, and it's just amazing what we've done, and we hopefully can go even further.
And when you look at the film of that Oregon game last month, what stands out most to you, and just how much value can you take out of that, given just the way the teams have progressed this month?
Yeah, they're two. We're both 2 different teams now. A month is a pretty long time. We both probably play different a little bit, but that game we played well, very well. We started out the game very hot. Also, our defense was on point. So hopefully we can do that again and get a dub.
Our next question is from Brady McCullough.
Hi, Evan. So recently another league announced called Overtime Elite that they're going to start a league for 30 of the best high school players in the country, offer them $100,000 a year to be a part of their team, basically taking away their amateur status, ability to play college basketball. You are obviously the type of player that would have been recruited by a program like that. Probably heard from the G League, Ignite at some point, I assume. How do you view those leagues and those opportunities, and do you think, how do you think top players are going to evaluate those things?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of new leagues coming out. I feel like you just got to do what's best for your situation, and I feel like my situation, it was best for me to go to USC. It's a great school. I love the school, great academics, great basketball program, and it just was the right fit for me. So that's why I chose that.
How much do you think you have improved as a player by being in the college atmosphere, even during the COVID year? It's been so different. Just how much do you think you've improved as a person and even as a young man?
I think I improved tremendously. Just playing every single game is a great game, hard game. The Pac-12 conference, as I said earlier, is a great conference, a lot of great teams. So I feel like the competition is a very high level. So it was just great for me, and it helped me get to where I'm at today.
Our next question is from Adam Sussman.
Hey, Evan, Adam Sussman here from KWVA Sports. Obviously, in the tournament, you can never really look ahead. You guys thought you were going to be playing, other teams. You obviously didn't. But is there a part of you that is happy about facing Oregon again? Because obviously, they captured the Pac-12 regular season crown, although you guys did have more regular season wins. So when you see them on your side of the bracket now facing them in the Sweet 16, is there a part of you that's kind of licking your lips?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like we can definitely play a great game against them because we already played them before. That's the great thing about playing them in the March Madness. They're in our conference, so we know a lot about them and stuff. Compared to other teams, we don't necessarily know too much about, which is different. But it's great that we get to play them and compete and hopefully get the win.
I mean, when you hear all the talk about, your size versus an Oregon team that typically doesn't play many players over 6'7", what do you kind of make of that? And is that just, just another game, or is coach really telling you, hey, use your 7-foot frame?
I feel like it is a March Madness, so it's your time to really lock in and do the best you possibly can every single game. But we're just going to stick to our game plan. It's probably going to be similar to the last game plan that we have when we played them earlier this year, and just basically stick to the game plan overall.
Our next question is from Ryan Karja, LA Times.
Hey, Evan, Ryan Karchi, LA Times. Obviously, you guys have had a good defense all year, but last two games, you held both of these tournament teams to, just 29% from the field. What's been the crucial aspect of that defensive effort in those last two games, and how much, just having played with him as much as you have, how much has Isaiah really, raised his level of play on that side of the ball?
He's been great throughout this tournament so far. We're going to need him to play these big minutes, big games for us to continue winning, as well as every other player on our team. But yeah, our defense is really what makes our team. I feel like our main focus now is usually defending the three-point line, because we usually defend the two-pointers pretty well because of our length. But defending our three-point line is our main focus, and we did that really well in the past two games, and I feel like that's what made our defense so well.
What's the key to successfully defending the three-point line?
Just staying in the gaps early and trusting your teammates' rotations. If it's your job to get somewhere, you got to get there and trust your teammates going to get your back on the other side. And just really closing out really hard from the three-point line. And that's probably most of the main focuses.
Thank you, Evan, for your time.
All right. Thank you.
That's it for this news conference. You can find a recording of this press conference in the NCAA Digital Media Hub at